Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys? I'm Brian, your Chords and Notes Nation, and this is another music reaction. Today, I am going to be reacting to a song I've never heard before, from a band I've never heard before. Shaman is the name of the band, Fairy Tale is the name of the song, and this was requested, I think, on a couple of occasions by the same person, a member of Chords and Notes Nation. So I appreciate your patience in me getting around to it, and sometimes it does help to send a reminder. Um, I think I either like or react or read. Um, I want to say 100% of the comments out there, but probably more like 98, 99%. So sometimes things get missed, or sometimes things just get lost or forgotten in the shuffle up here. Um, so feel free to remind me if there's a band you really want to hear or a song you really want to hear. A lot of these bands that you guys have been introducing me to lately um, are bands that I want to do multiple songs. I don't want to just be one and done. So that's there'll be more songs coming from these bands as well. That being said, keep in mind to all of our new listeners and new members of Chords and Notes Nation. I do things a little bit differently. Just I do things the way I'm comfortable with. Um, excuse me. It's not always going to be songs I've never heard before. I just I've got too much that I want to say about songs that I know and groups that I know, and it doesn't matter if it's something I've heard, something I haven't heard, or somewhere in between. It's always going to be an honest and open reaction, and I invite conversation uh, as well. And then, of course, I keep things as unedited and raw as possible. Sometimes you're going to hear laundry going because I have a place in my basement. This is where I do my work for Chords and Notes. You're going to hear some of those noises. I'll try and keep them to a minimum. Um, Sometimes, I don't know. I'm working with a little bit older equipment, so there's hiccups and stuff like that in the recording, that sort of thing. Um, won't apologize for any of that because those of you who are members of Chords and Notes Nation, I think you're okay with that. So, anyways, let's move on to the song Fairy Tale by Shaman. cut that off too soon. Okay, so excuse my yawning. It was a long night last night, work-wise. Still waking up. Anyways, I don't know. I don't know what I think about this song. I think I'll have to work that out as I'm explaining my thoughts here. First of all, the composition was solid. Um, in the world of music theory, it made sense. Um, moving from the tonic to the dominant and back. There weren't any surprises that way. Interesting little twists on the musical journey the song took. So it was, I would say it was predictable, but it was pretty standard. But it was done well. There was nothing off-putting about it. I really enjoyed the moments when there was the piano and the acoustic guitar and the piano and the vocals. I like songs that are able to do that. I like it when bands can not solely rely on a certain grouping of instruments to convey the only sound in the song. I mean, obviously there are times when that's all there is, and you do it well. But what really catches my ear is when there's this mixture of instruments and it's done in a nice way. At the outset, the first verses were in I want to say Latin. If not Latin, their roots are in Latin. And the first word is they say Jesus, so Jesus. So there's a religious overtone there, but I'm not quite sure what it is that they're saying. So I could only extrapolate the meaning of words. I actually had to look at the words and try and get to the root of the words and see if there was if it triggered some sort of English equivalent. And then it went into crying and fairy lady, and I'm not quite sure what the relationship there is between Jesus and crying and fairy lady. There could be. I the whole fairy thing goes into the world of myth and more like the Celtic type stuff, which is kind of opposed to the Christian thing. At least in my mind, it is, and so finding a connection there is kind of difficult, but not impossible, I'm sure. At any rate, vocally, I think he's got a lot of potential. He can really hit those notes, those high notes, and he can sing really well. But in the mixing of the song, or at least the version that I was listening to, the tone of the singing oftentimes became muddied with the tone of the instruments, of the music behind him, and it was hard to in several places, especially when the dynamics became louder and you had the fullness of the instruments, and he was singing at such a high range. The notes got lost with the notes of the notes of his voice got lost with the notes of the instruments, and so it was kind of hard to depict who was, where was he? He got lost a little bit, at least to my ears. I don't like. If he's going to be singing at a high level, pitch wise, and I want to be able to hear him carry that note throughout. The guitars were solid. The drums were okay. They weren't that, they were good. They did their part. That's what I have to say about that. Um, the guitar solo wasn't outstanding. It was good, but it wasn't. It didn't. It didn't make me sit back and go, "Wow, this is amazing." So mixed reactions for first listen, but maybe it'd be worth listening to more of the band and getting a feel for their style a little bit more. That's all I have to say about that one. And you guys have a great holiday season, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.